Cameraman 1.
2,
3,
4, 5, 6.
Okay. As time moves on, we become more modern, and we tend to stray away from the things that our bodies are naturally made to do and that we're supposed to do. So one of the things that has been changing is that people are moving away from breastfeeding their babies and going into more bottle feeding. So today I'm going to talk to you about why breastfeeding is more beneficial in comparison to bottle feeding. First, we're going to talk about the benefits that come to the infant. Next, we're going to talk about the benefits for the mother. Third, we're going to talk about some of the ways to overcome some of the difficulties that come with breastfeeding, and last we're going to talk about some just overall benefits. So to begin, we're going to talk about the benefits for the infant. Now, one of the biggest benefits is that breastfeeding provides immunity for the baby. So when a mother first gives birth, there's the fluid that comes out that's called colostrum. It's very thin. It says thick, but that was incorrect. It says thin. And it's very nutrient dense, it's very protein dense, and this gives the nutrients to the baby, gives the immunities to the baby. This is something that formula does not provide. So, yeah, okay. Alright, another thing that is a benefit for the infant is that it lowers the chance of obesity, and this is according to the Wong's Essential Pediatric Nursing. Now, they explain this because when a baby is bottle fed, they kind of are taught to finish your bottle, finish your plate, and it kind of teaches and leads to child obesity, whereas if a child breastfeeds, they actually stop eating when they're full rather than when the parent wants them to. Because if you formula feed, there's the issue of cost, and you want to make sure nothing's being wasted. So now we're going to go ahead and talk about the benefits for the mother. Now, one of the biggest benefits is that there's the bond between the mother and the infant. Now, this is partly because hormones are released whenever the mother's breastfeeding. One of these hormones is called oxytocin, and this kind of calms the mother down and really reinforces that maternal bond. Now, in addition, when a mother is breastfeeding, she's much closer in contact to the baby in comparison to formula feeding. Now, some other benefits for the mother. When a mother is breastfeeding, this helps her lose weight that she built up during pregnancy. The breast milk is actually created using the fat stores that were put up during pregnancy. So when a mother breastfeeds, these fat stores are used up and the breast milk is created. Okay, now another thing that is explained by womenshealth.gov is that breastfeeding really highly reduces the chance of breast cancer in women in comparison to women that don't breastfeed. Okay. Alright, now we're going to talk about some of the difficulties that come with breastfeeding and how to overcome them. So one of the difficulties is work schedules. A lot of moms say, I can't breastfeed because I work or I have to go back to work. It's just not something I can do. But really, there's things that you can do to make it work. One of those things is pumping breast milk. Whenever you're at home watching TV, doing something, you can pump your breast milk. That way, if your child's at the daycare with a family member, that breast milk will be available to them, and they can get those nutrients and whatnot. Now, another thing that can be done if pumping's not so much of an option, you can breastfeed when you're with your baby and formula feed when you're not, because some breast milk is way better than none at all. You might as well do it when you can. Now, another difficulty that can come is that breastfeeding can sometimes be uncomfortable. Now, this is something that can be easily fixed. One of the reasons why this happens is that the baby might have a poor latch when breastfeeding, but you can see a lactation consultant, you can practice it, you can readjust the baby, and it's something that can be easily corrected just with education and practice. So it's really not an excuse to stop doing it because it benefits your baby. Okay, one of the biggest benefits of breastfeeding is that it's free. Formula costs money, whereas breast milk does not at all. Now, some people have said that formula can cost somewhere around $1,500 a year, depending on how much your baby eats, how much they weigh, how old they are, how big they are, things like that. Now, some other things that can be said is that breastfed babies are less likely to get sick in comparison to formula-fed babies. Now, this is because the breastfed babies have the nutrients in their body, have the antibodies, whereas the whereas the formula-fed babies do not. So this is going to lower health costs later on. Alright, now now we're going to go ahead and talk about the overall benefits of breastfeeding. Now, one of the biggest benefits is that breastfeeding can sometimes be more convenient. Now, some people say it's not, but one of the ways that it is that it's already ready. When you formula feed, you have to buy the formula, mix the formula, measure it, things like that. Where when you breastfeed, you don't. The baby already knows how much they're going to eat. It's already the right temperature, the right amount, and you don't really have to mix those things up. And there's a lot less bottles to sterilize. Sterilizing bottles is a big deal. You have to boil them, keep them separate from everyone else's stuff. When you breastfeed, there's a lot less bottles to deal with. Okay, another benefit is that breastfeeding is natural. This is something that our body was created to do, or women. This is their body was meant to do that. It's not just meant to be there and go away. When women create breast milk during pregnancy and then they don't use it, this is why women sometimes get breast cancer, because this milk doesn't get used and it often turns into something that shouldn't be done. Now, another thing is that the composition of breast milk is perfect for your baby. It's not mixed with chemicals and you don't have to buy different kinds of formula for each stage of your baby's growth. It changes as your baby changes. So the American Academy of Pediatrics explains that as your baby grows, your breast milk will change to accumulate with or accommodate your baby. Okay, so we can remember that we talked about the benefits for the infant, the benefits for the mother, some of the ways to overcome the challenges, and just some overall benefits. So if you know someone, or later on in your life you kind of have this debate on whether your baby should be breastfed or bottle fed, really think about breastfeeding because it's more beneficial to the mother and the baby and just to the family in general.